Hey, hello out there, everybody. Come on in, get cozy. I'll be starting up in just a minute here. Happy to see you. Hope you're having a good night. Hey, Julie, how's it going? Hey, hello, everybody. Welcome to WagWorksGA. I'm Jeff. I'm the G in GA. Happy to have y'all here tonight, or if you're watching this on YouTube, thanks for stopping by. I definitely appreciate it. Julie, thanks for the follow, by the way. Glad you could join. Y'all, I'm excited tonight. I've got one of our critique group friends here in the chat. So yeah, I hope everyone's been having a good week. It's been still a little bit of a family medical excitement, but we're doing okay. We're good. We're working it all out, and thankfully we've got some good friends, good support network out there. Julie, glad you're doing well. Yeah, whew. So for anyone who is watching on YouTube, I know last week I kind of threw a random one out there for the comment suggestion, but let's go with tonight. If you're watching this on YouTube, type in the comments, what is your Myers-Briggs personality type? If you don't know what that is, just pick 4 letters that you think describe you. That's cool. It's a good starting point. Okay. So, I guess we could just jump right into the warm-up. If you've watched any of the videos, the other videos or streams before, you know I like to start up with a quick warm-up, just a 5-minute exercise to loosen everything up, get in the mindset for drawing, get our art brain activated, turned on. So let's go ahead, hop over to Clip Studio Paint. As you know, I usually pick randomly from, try not to look at the cards while I do this, from a set of Pokemon cards. Add a little excitement to it. Full disclosure though, I did actually pick out the cards tonight, so I had a little control over what I got to draw. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pick you. All right. Not sure if you guys can see that. We've got Wingull tonight. So gonna go ahead. Get a reference image for us. Remember, all you artists out there, there's no shame in using references. Although the best suggestion is to use a bunch of them, so you're not just replicating somebody else's image, but rather you get an idea of the actual structure and shape of things so that you can really draw it in your style. And if you don't have a particular style yet, keep drawing. By practicing, that's how you start to learn and adapt your style out. Let me grab my art glove here. Can tell it was a little bit of a rush to get started tonight. All right, so we have our super cute Pokemon here. Gonna check my layers. Actually label my layer this time. And not just disconnect everything while I grab my pen. Usually I set this up ahead of time. That would have been a smart thing to do tonight. But hey, 4th stream, just enough time to get comfortable enough to forget the good ideas. All right. So if anybody wants to join along, my artists out there, feel free, grab a piece of paper or a pencil. This doesn't have to be a work of art. You can draw it whatever style you like. We're just gonna spend 5 minutes, really loosen up. I'm not gonna probably get anywhere near finishing this. It's just, again, thinking about shapes, getting that brain going, loosening up the arm. So I am going to set my timer for 5 minutes. And here we go. All right, what do I want to do for this guy? Again, I'm going to start with a pretty solidly big brush size, so I'm not tempted to draw too much detail in my layer here, just to get my shapes right and think about the pose. So I'm going to try something maybe with a little bit of perspective for this one. There, so I'm just going to kind of figure out where's the meridian and equator of the head here. Something like that. Our bird's going to be soaring. Julie girl is a perfectly appropriate 4 letters to pick. If that's what you're feeling, it's good. We actually did in a high school class, it was like a business human relations class. This was a while ago, the Myers-Briggs test. I cannot remember what I got for that one, but I have been reading about it and watching YouTube videos on it, and I believe the type that I most closely associate with is INFJ, for anyone out there. So that is intuitive, or introverted, intuitive, feeling and judging. There we go. Are the audio levels okay out there? Can you guys hear me all right? Is the music a good volume? Feel free to let me know. Hey Gail, how's it going? Well, thanks for coming out, you guys. This is so awesome. So happy to see you. I will say, Twitch is a good place. There are a lot of digital artists here. If you want to watch people work live, there's some really, really talented digital artists out here. There's also a lot of traditional media out there as well. If you're looking, there's actually a really good scientific illustrator that I'll watch sometimes, who does all like bird illustrations, like for field guides and stuff. That's pretty cool to see them work. Maybe my beak could be a little bit bigger there. All right. Maybe I'm gonna do this. This is one thing that's great about Clip Studio. Yep. You can kind of decide that you drew it all in the wrong place and just move parts around. And I do this a lot in my sketch layer, just to kind of mess around and get the shapes and the composition right before I spend a lot of effort on detail or anything like that. So there you go. There you go. Yeah, this music is a little bit intense for a warm-up, but you know what? We're gonna go with it. Yeah, rotate this guy a little bit. Oh, thanks, Julie. Yeah. Although I have to say, sometimes people need to stop me when it comes to laying in perspective. Oh my gosh, I have done some overly intense foreshortening stuff that I thought it was great, but anytime I shared it, it was a bit too much, I think was the consensus. Okay, I like that. All right, where are we at time-wise? Spend a little bit more time on yeah, we got 30 seconds left. So this is a sketch layer. Usually it's a little more detailed than I'll often do it. Actually, maybe I can do it this way. On second thought, let's put these wings out a bit more. Even though I've played games with this Pokemon, I don't actually even know if its wings bend that much, so. Erase you. Big eraser. Stina, hey, oh my gosh, you guys, y'all came out, thank you. This is awesome. It's our second meetup of the week. Okay, so that should be pencils down, 5 minutes. If anybody's drawing along, I hope you had fun. Do you like what you came out with? Oh, Gail, so no, this is not Photoshop. It's very similar to Photoshop. But this is a program called Clip Studio Paint. It contains a lot of the same tools as a Photoshop, but it also contains some of the vector art tools that you would see in like Adobe Illustrator. And it's really popular in the graphic novel and comics community. It has a lot of great tools. I'm actually going to show a couple of them off in the piece that I'm working on for stream in a few minutes. But I just got to show it off. I love the vector art. So vector means that instead of like what I drew here, which is what we call raster, which is like individual pixels, you're kind of painting. Vector is you're actually drawing a path. So I've got a line here, right? And it's not marking which pixel it's on, it's storing vertices of the line. So each of these dots is a point, and it actually draws a smooth connecting line between these points. And what that means is that I can just move my points, and the drawing will adjust. This is especially good for line art, because what this means is that if I decide that I want to make this piece at a higher resolution, I can just go ahead, scale it up to a higher resolution, for a better print quality, for example, and I'm not going to lose any quality. With layers like this, I mean, when you increase the resolution, you're essentially doing this, like you're zooming in, and it gets blocky, it gets blurry. But with vector, you can see the edges here, just because of the brush that I've chosen. But were I to, well, I'll just do it. Go in and change this to, right now we're at a 300 dots per inch resolution. I'm gonna blow this up to like 1200. This is huge. So now, what I've drawn in raster, even when I zoom out, it's a little bit rougher. I mean, it was already kind of rough quality. If it was finished art, it would not be great. But these lines, the edges are a little more exaggerated, but there's no difference in the vector. Oh, sorry, I got too excited talking about Clip Studio and I didn't look at chat. So no, this isn't an Adobe product. It's made by a different company called Celsius. They actually are a Japanese company. That's where Clip Studio started out. It actually started out as a manga studio and then got a rebrand a few years ago. The nice thing about Clip Studio is that you can just buy it instead of paying a subscription like you do for Adobe. Oh, indeed. Julie, I think if you ever take the jump and start working with it, Clip Studio can be pretty intuitive, like, at least some of it. And you can kind of just ignore a lot of the parts that you're less familiar with. Let's see. Okay, so I'll leave this guy here. Okay, so that was our warm-up section. Feeling pretty good with with this. I may come back and finish this sometime later, but this is where it's going to stay for tonight. So if anybody watched the last stream, I was working on a cover for a pitch packet that we're doing, and this is where I left off. The colors are a bit intense and dark because I decided to try to pick out everything on the fly, which was a horrible idea. So I've actually gone here and I've expanded the palette. I had mixed basically just these far left colors last time. These are far too saturated. They're going to come out super dark in print, and I just wasn't sure how I felt about them. So gave myself a little time to come in and look at it, and ended up actually going and looking at the colors for each character. So for example, the cat, way too blue. I did these sample color swaths to pick out kind of what worked, and got some good feedback from a certain critique group on that. And likewise, I did it for the skin and hair and eye color of our main character, Cassia. So feeling like we're settling in on it, on the color palette that I want to use. However, another thing, and this is actually a great time to talk about critique groups, not just because my critique group happens to be here in chat. Critique is super important. If you want to get better at doing something, you need to find a group of people who you trust, who do the same thing as you, to get other eyes that aren't just yours on your art. So I shared this piece with a critique group this week, and I got some really good feedback. And what I need to do is take some time and think about some of the ideas and see how I can incorporate them. This will probably not end up being the cover that I use, even though I like the piece. It's nice. I got some really good insight from some folks that I really trust. So I will not be working on this one tonight. Instead, I thought it would be fun to do a quick slice of life comic, which is actually kind of one of my favorite things to do. I literally started doing these in the 4th grade, 5th grade, just taking those moments, those laughs, those inside jokes, and turning them into a comic. So that's what I'm gonna do. And of course, slice of life. What's the best inspiration? It's your life. Gonna just real quick adjust this background color. So this is a standard template I like to use. I've measured out kind of margins. Instagram in general seems to be pretty happy with this page size. It doesn't get cropped too bad. So this is what I'm going to be working with. And I happened to write a script from a funny moment that it presented itself with the kids just like yesterday. So let me bring that script window up. You are here. Okay. So this is just going to be, it's a short little comic about my kids saying my head is large, because really kids point out that kind of stuff. So I've got my script. Oh, Julie, what size is the page that I'm using? Well, according to my kids, it's very large. But, you know, maybe bobblehead size. But the page size, I believe this is just an 8x10 that I did with the margins about a 1/2 inch. I kind of eyeballed it here. It doesn't have to be exact for a lot of things. So what I've done here is I've dragged out rulers, which I just do by clicking on the rulers here and pulling them out. So I'm going to undo that because I don't need a second one. So I've pulled out these ruler lines, and they're helpful as guides, but you can also use what they call snapping, which are these tools here. So I'm turning on snap to ruler, which means that anytime I get near these purple guys, it's going to grab my cursor or my pen, my brush, and it's going to allow me to just draw along them. But I'm actually not just going to draw. I'm going to put in panels. I really like Clip Studio's frame border tools. So here here's what those look like. This is a standard rectangle frame. And then I can just drag it here, and it snaps to the rulers that I set up. And so now I've set up a panel border, and you can see it kind of blues out everything outside of the panel that I'm working on. You can see it's created this kind of collection of stuff here. It's basically a really special folder of layers. Actually, you probably can't see because my script is covering it. 1 second. Live TV, folks. Always a learning experience. So yeah, as you can see, this is kind of like a special collection of layers that holds everything that I want to do within this frame, and things don't extend out of the frame, which is really nice. Oops, that's not what I wanted. So if I switch to, say, my pen here, and draw on this layer and draw straight out, it doesn't matter. It's not going to show up outside the frame. But I'm not done with the panel tools yet, because what I'm going to do now is split this up. Kind of eyeball it right here using the ruler. Shift key is a great shortcut, by the way, because it helps you keep the lines either straight, horizontal, or vertical. In some cases, you can actually do diagonals with it as well, but it's kind of cuts out all those tiny odd angles in between. So let's see, where's my halfway? 1, 2, 4, 5. Right, should be, yep. That's not quite right. Hold up. Is it? Still not quite. Oh, because it's a 1/2 inch stuff. There we are. I'm just going to come over here, do the same thing here. And now what I've done is I've set up 4 panels. Yeah, let me just notch down this music slightly. There we go. Julie, I'm choosing the halfway point. You can, I mean, the rulers are here, and you can turn on coordinates as well, I believe. It's not always as easy for me as I would like to get the display and get the exact values. You can also turn on a grid here. Which might have been the smarter way to do this, but. And the other way that you can do it is to just draw your panel and kind of eyeball it and then copy and paste it until you have all 4 and they're the exact same size and everybody's happy. All right, let's try this. Yep. Redo. Gonna use this. I'm gonna split right here. 2, 3, 4.5. 1, 2, 3, 4.5. Okay, there we go. I'm just gonna go ahead and blame it on the fact that I only have a minor in math, that I apparently can't do math tonight. So there you go. The grid is actually super helpful. Should also note, Clip Studio likes to order these kind of weird when you split it. So sometimes you'll end up kind of going around and be like, okay, where's my actual panel one? I like to rename them just to keep things neat. Keeps me a little bit more sane when I'm trying to find the panels I want. I could just keep them called frames, but I've found that changing it to panel also helps me keep track of what I've already done. All right, here we are. So, got our panels, got our script. So what I'm literally going to do is copy and paste my dialogue here. Into each appropriate panel. split it up so it fits nicely. This is one of the tricks that I learned, is always try and get your dialogue in the frame before you start sketching, so that you make sure you leave room for it. There was a really great Kids Comics Unite presentation on and all sorts of ideas of layout for comics, and I'll never forget when he was giving examples of poorly planned dialogue bubbles, and there was one he called the head smasher, and you know, it's when you try to like smush in the dialogue bubble between a character's head and the top of the panel. It's pretty great. Alright, you can always mess with this placement a bit more later, but for now, that's got kind of what we're looking for. Alright, dialogue's in. So let's draw our sketch layer. And I like to do mine in a different color than black. Just, even though you can kind of change transparency, it's nice to be able to just see the difference really quickly and easily. So I'm gonna do a pretty good size. Maybe not smiling. Oh, and I'm finally doing comics with faces, so you guys get to see if I do my face drawing faces. Do you guys, whenever you draw, do you also do you make the faces and the expressions of whatever expression you're drawing? I can't not do it. So you're probably gonna see some funny faces here, just a heads up. Again, the idea with this layer is just to get the composition, figure out what makes sense. Turn off my ruler clipping there. Get things sized out. Gonna bring these guys down just a bit. What should Dad be doing in the background, guys? What do we think? Cooking? Okay. I do like to cook. Don't get to do it a whole lot, but I enjoy it when I do. So maybe here's like, it's gonna be like an island counter. It's like generic sink. Maybe Dad'll be back here. Stove hood will be like here-ish. Okay. Maybe do kind of some cabinets here or something. Just to give it a good kitchen-y feel. And then we'll let a word bubble, kid one. Here you go. Now, it's a little boring kind of to just keep the same general perspective here, but I'm going to actually do it in this case. The side-on view is actually really commonly used for humor graphic novels because the presentation isn't necessarily on some really dynamic visual. It's more on the words and the characters. This kid is just going to be... Kid 1 is going to be so odd by that size comparison of how tired they are of Minecraft to my noggin. Yes, they actually did say this. They never, and I did in fact ask this question, and they just kind of conveniently never actually answered it. So apparently that's a yes. Although honestly, I'm kind of more amazed that they said they were in any way tired of Minecraft. It's been a bit of an obsession in our house. You said it, Gail. Yeah, they. I mean, if you're a parent, you know, kids say just the most hilarious things. Like we were working on a whole file of funny things the kids have said that are actually kind of perfect comic material. Just gonna... So maybe gonna go back here. Maybe Dad's head's turned just a little bit. He's kind of looking over. There we go. Oh, Stina, absolutely. Oh my gosh. I mean, as long as they're cool with it. My kids, even kind of so like, they thought it was hilarious when I made a comic with them. Yeah. Yeah, that's the other side effect of being a parent is your brain cannot hold all the things that happen in a day. Definitely write it down. All right, so now Dad's gonna be kind of turning back to his cooking. Julie, are there any memorable ones that you still think about that still make you laugh? Kind of get away from me there. Okay, that's pretty good. Rename you. I think the other notebook that we have talked about being able to fill up is a notebook of things that we never thought we'd have to say in our entire life that we have had to say to the kids. Ash, do you remember any good ones from that?
I don't know that they're appropriate to say.
Okay. I thought there had to be some though, but it's okay. Perhaps not appropriate to say. Yeah, I feel like it could be. Absolutely. All right, so now we'll just ever so slightly change the camera here. Zoom in on Dad. kind of turned around here. Draw that sink in, just so I remember that that needs to be there for consistency. Maybe you don't need to have the island in there anymore. Maybe he's gonna have his hands on his head. He's gonna be checking it. Do I want that hand there? That'll work. I think I need to move that text up a little bit too. Yep. Right. Okay, Ashley has brought it over.
It's very cold now.
I mean, I think some of these, they're pretty universal, right? Like, we don't lick people. Don't put your head in the toilet. Don't kiss the toilet. Don't tickle me with a piece of cheese. We've had to. I'm gonna stop the list there just to keep things classy. But you can kind of get the sense of it. Just kind of lightly lay in the background there. Am I gonna have smoke coming off? Maybe. Maybe. It's kind of funny. Draw the pan there. Maybe some heat lines on it. Okay. This is a good starting point. All right, so now this is just kind of my sketch layer. I've seen sketch layers go anywhere from being super rough to maybe about this. What I like to do after this is then go in and start doing something. It's still kind of a sketch, but it's going to be a little bit more detailed. I'm going to use a smaller brush to kind of see things better. Go ahead and turn the script off since we're done with that for now. So this is what in graphic novels and comics they call a pencils layer. So the idea is that you're still kind of roughing it in. There's room for a little more detail. It's not your final lines, but you're making some more decisions.
You should try to finalize before the end of the hour.
I've got 20 minutes. I can do it. I did roughs in 10 minutes. This is like a record for me. Ashley's really excited about the force focus time to help me do this faster. Let's just say I'm working on improving my speed. Okay. So those of you who've seen our kids, do you have any guesses as to which kid said which thing? I'm curious before I start drawing in which kid is which. Okay. maybe I can just start here. Trying to remember the cheese one if that was Evie. We didn't actually attribute them. I thought I could remember them, but see my previous comment about parental memory. Just a happy cooking dad there. Yep. Maybe I need to make his head larger just to fit the joke. Yeah. That sounds right. Y'all, can I just say again how excited I am that you're here? Thank you for coming out. I hope you're having a good time. I definitely, it's fun just kind of hanging out, drawing, talking. I'm having a good time. Oh, thanks, guys. Oh my gosh, I didn't even talk about one of Clip Studio's coolest features. Julie, this is great. If you start using it and you need stuff to put out on social media, you can do this time-lapse feature. So it doesn't, you have to manually start it every time. But when you do it, it remembers every stroke that you make. It doesn't count undos. So if you draw a line, don't like it, and hit undo, or Control Z, which is like burned into my muscle memory, it won't remember that. But everything you do after you turn it on, it saves like all the strokes in your Clip Studio file. And what it does then, this is going to be much less impressive if I show you right this second. Give me a minute. Maybe make him a little less slouchy here. There we go. He's going to be giving us a... Okay. Excuse me while I remember what a hand looks like. Okay. That, okay. Okay, so I've done a few strokes here, so we can go to export and you can actually see it. It's not as cool because there's not a lot in here yet, but when you do like a whole piece or you have a lot, it's pretty neat. You can make it be, right now because it's so short, it's only doing a all, but you can make it a 15-second clip, a 30-second clip, a 60-second clip, or just every single brush stroke that you did. And you can save it. It saves it as a movie file, which is great for putting up on Instagram or Twitter. And it's so cool. It's just fun. I love it when people post their time lapses because you get to kind of see how someone else works, which is also like a glimpse into someone else's brain. And the nice thing is it records only the piece that like on the canvas that you're drawing. So it doesn't really look at anything else that you're doing. And if you wanted to do more where you're recording like your layers and your tools and stuff, there's other ways to do that. Like what I'm using right now to broadcast this whole thing. Okay. Not really gonna do a whole lot with this background. It can stay pretty rough. Maybe just give it a little more shape. Good, draw the vent hood. Sometimes I like to separate out the foreground and the background when I'm doing my layers. At least for pencils, I'm gonna be a little more efficient and keep them all together. Okay. So what would you guys like to see? I'm gonna do my best to finish tonight, but if I don't, would you guys rather see me go on to final lines and colors on a single panel, or pencil in the remaining panels? Oh, thanks, Julie. In case you couldn't see, I've got like another monitor over here, another screen with my chat, so I'm not always looking over there. So I apologize if it's a little delayed in my response. Yeah, maybe I'll just do... Okay, yeah. But I will do that. Maybe I will split out into foreground and background here. So I'm using folders. It's a really easy way to organize if you've got a lot of layers. Oh, drawing like the pencils for the rest of the panels? Is that what you guys were saying? Or do you want to see how I get more detailed as I go in a single panel? Okay. I can keep going then on pencils, if that's what you're saying. Or detail in the panel. Okay. Good deal. All right. Do I know? Oh, change the size of the bubble? Yeah. Thanks. My art director just had a note for me. Okay. So now I'm going to switch to the black. I've been really liking this design pencil tool that comes with just one of the standard brushes with Clip Studio. It has kind of a nice liveliness and texture to it, and it also kind of, not just the size, but also the transparency of it will change depending on how hard I'm pressing down with my stylus. So I've been really happy with that one for lines lately. I used to do it all in more of an ink pen type of line, but I'm gonna keep on with this design pencil for now. And so you'll notice I'm just, going increasingly lower in my brush size as I work in to my final layer here. And what's nice is I learned this the first time I tried to do an Inktober. Was it's nice to have done all your spatial thinking in advance with the pencils layer, so I can literally just focus on getting the right path for the line and focusing on where I want to be pressing hard and not pressing hard, so I can get the thickness like exactly how I want it and really stylize the lines. Oh man, I was gonna say something and I totally blanked on it. Something a little bit thicker for the glasses here. It's pretty good, all right. Yep. Sorry if this is going all topsy-turvy for you. Sometimes to get a good, clean line, it helps to rotate the canvas a bunch. It's funny, I used to work almost entirely in just pencil and pen. I mean, I wasn't really doing any art for anyone but myself, just constantly doodling. So I never really finished anything in color for a really long time, even though I've been drawing for, most of my life. Outside of those childhood crayon days. But then when I was in college, I started working a little bit digitally. And back then I was trying to use like Adobe Illustrator, which was all vector, which was a whole different kind of drawing. And I wasn't even using a stylus. I was just using like a mouse. And I did that for a few years, and then kind of life happened. I got a job, full-time job, and kind of set that all aside for quite a while. Oh, I wanted to erase this, but I could just use the eraser. By the way, another great thing about Clip Studio is the path erasing. So if you set, there's this little guy right here for vector layers, it can see where your lines intersect each other. And so when you erase part, you can tell it to erase up to the intersection. So it gives you really clean, easy erasing. But yeah, I just kept doodling at my desk, at work. And it was only with pencils and pens. And then finally I came back and started drawing digitally. And that became my main way of drawing. And now I do it so much that when I'm drawing on a piece of paper, I'll be like trying to pinch it to zoom in, which is kind of ridiculous sounding, but absolutely true. It's amazing how much stuff like that can just like get ingrained in your brain. All right, so now I'm going to switch to my background layer. And I like to make my lines at least a point or two thinner for a background layer. I'm going to hand draw this countertop just to keep it from looking too nice and clean. I used to try for comics and graphic novels to get everything just right. I got some really good advice that actually it looks better if there's imperfections in a lot of your lines. So I've been working to give myself a little more room to have some looseness and not perfect lines. And I know, you're saying, Jeff, you just drew through your children's faces. Why would you do that? Because I can just do this. And it helps me get a good, more consistent line. Boop, 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 boop. All right, there we go. Cool. Technically speaking, I could have even left there because when I color in the kids, it'll completely hide it. But trying to think more in terms of, even though I'm working in layers, treat it as a whole piece. I used to be so intense about my layers where I would even I would separate out every single thing. Like each kid would be a separate folder with its own layers. The background would be, the counter would be its own layer. The back wall would be its layer. Dad would be his own layer. And it was nice because I could mess with composition even after I'd done a lot. But it was so much extra work and it was so slow. So I'm finally learning not to draw things that no one is ever going to see. I'm going to move your eyeball, Dad. That looks a little bit more like it's at them. Oh, it's 11. Okay. So we are at 11 o'clock. I did not quite make the progress that I thought I would here. I was on such a good pace too. Oh man. I'll probably hang out, draw here for a few more minutes. Y'all are welcome to hang out if you want to. I know it is getting late for everybody on a school night too. Oh, that's true. It is still summer break for most. We started our schooling early this year to give some flexibility for travel and all that. So yeah, if any of you guys, again, you're welcome to hang out while I stay here and wrap up a few things. Yeah, I'll just, I'm gonna keep going for a few minutes. Probably not too late. They're doing, replacing the roofs in our whole townhome community. So we were woken the other morning at about 7:50 to them like scraping off some of the old shingles and dumping supplies on the roof. So it's probably going to be an earlier morning. So also, this is fun. In one of our courses, I learned there is a technical name for lines like the wavies here that I drew over the pan for like heat and all that. Also anything like, if there's like, oh, wow, surprise lines, stuff like that. It's called emanata. So, fun fact to know. Yeah, just likewise, guys. Thank you for joining. If you gotta head out, I totally I understand it, and I absolutely appreciate you guys being here. It's been so fun just hanging out and drawing and chatting. I absolutely love this, so thank you so much, and thank you for following me. I appreciate that too. Good night, Gail. Hope you have a good rest of the week, a good weekend. Draw some cabinets up here. I mean, they're going to be largely covered, but the top part will be seen. Add a folder here for my text. Drop it in here. My word balloon, make that a little bit thicker so it kind of jumps out. It's worth noting that Clip Studio has its own tool for doing word bubbles, and it works pretty well. I tend to like the feeling of just the hand drawn. Kind of see my previous comments about lines being too perfect. However, if I could just, actually get this. Sometimes the angles are just... Come on, Jeff. Here we go. Yep, shift that up a little bit so I avoid the dreaded tangent. Oops. A little bit more. Okay. There we go. I've worked really hard to train myself to be good about actually going in and renaming all my layers to be able to keep track of them. It can get so chaotic if you don't. You'll be searching through like 30, 40 layers, be like, okay, which one was that on? So what I'm doing here, by the way, is I'm filling in the speech bubble. I'm just giving it a white background. But sometimes, yeah, something's not closed in here. Yeah, sometimes if you end up trying to fill with other layers on, they will get in the way. Oh, that's another cool vector trick I forgot to use, was turn on this guy here, which is reference layer for my lines, which means that the fill tool will know that it needs to stay inside those lines. That was better. Okay, cool. Now just turn these guys back on. And the frame background and the paper. Okay, there we go. Get the lines off of Dad's head there. And put the text back in. Good night, Stina. All right. Yeah, it is about that time. I'm pretty happy with this. This is all right. I will pick up with this next time. And my goal will be to actually finish this whole thing. I think we can do it. So let's... So yeah, this has been really fun. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Anybody else who stopped in but wasn't in the chat, no worries. Lurking is always appreciated. Just thanks for coming. Thanks for joining. I hope you had as much fun as I did. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. Yeah, I just hope everybody has a great night, a great week, a great weekend, and we'll see you next time, next Thursday at 10 o'clock. I plan to be back. So until then, thank you, everybody. Good night.